systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for another golf show here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. Got my guy Hoopster here with me as always, going to break down all things Valspar Championship. Got a lot to get to though off the top. It's giveaway day. We got tons of contests, giveaways, members giving back. A huge week for the nation last week. On Saturday, I believe it was round 2 of the players. We had 2 members win first, second, and third in the round 2 showdown slate for 80,000 plus. So Hoop, I'll bring you in, man. Huge week last week. We'll get to it here in a little bit. All the stuff we've got going on and what we're going to give away. But how you doing, my friend? What's going on?
Yeah, a big week within the community. Just continues a nice little stretch here, a little heater for the SHIPIT Nation team, the SHIPIT Nation members, community. It's been a hell of a ride. Looking to continue on and build onto that momentum, rolling right into some of these majors. I mean, Masters is right around the corner. I mean, golf just doesn't stop week after week. Big contest. That's one thing you're getting week in and week out with PGA, regardless of the event. You're getting big contests, and like we talked about a lot, DraftKings done a good job with these prize pools, going to a little more balanced structure, which you love to see. So this week the field is much different, obviously, than last week at the players. But there's a lot to talk about. We have some weather to discuss. We can talk about the field. We have the 5K range, which I know a lot of people like talking about in terms of strategy and roster construction. And we'll see if we can get back to the winner's circle this week.
And Jimmy Stanger's in the field as well. So we're going to have lots of conversation when we get down there. Coming off another one. I saw someone posted in our Discord earlier, get all the little extra tidbits in there over at SHIPIT Nation. But he said it's coming back with his buddy to a hometown venue, all these other factors. Shout out to our guy Go Collect, first in 4 rocket ship emojis. He's fired up, and he got
the only way the Stanger thing works though is if you shit on him. So like you can't come on here and say you're in on Stanger. You gotta take some shots at him. Then it's guaranteed to work.
All right, probably not in on Stanger. So good luck, everybody. Congrats on the money this week.
Fire away, folks. Fire away.
The only reason I was kind of in is because our boy Skyhook DFS always posts the ownership out each week over on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and love to see that. He has a Stanger bet in at 150 to 1 this week. So definitely interested in that.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. When your boy Hoop, your business partner over here, recommends Stanger, you laugh in his face and basically laugh him off the stage. But when others promote Mr. Stanger, oh yeah, I'm in now.
Yeah, nothing against you. We were in on other things together. That one was just the one thing. And Justin here, he must have already watched the Mayo show that literally just came out. He's fast getting on the content, but Mayo had me going for opening up a new business this week for Gym Tan Laundry, and it's going to be tan and lean with Tamboline. He said, let me get the business plan down. We'll get you in there, get you into the gym, get your tanning bed out, do all of those things. But lots to get to, guys. Appreciate you. Nick, our guy, I'm back. We're back, baby. Let's go. Interesting week. Hoop said it. Lots of good contests over on DraftKings. I know that Heavy Irons is back. I do not have tickets to it this time, so I won't be playing in that one. But the 555 is still strong, going to be in there. Got a lot of the, the main stuff, the 200K up top, the 50K up top, and the $200 single entry, the 254 max, a bunch of lower stakes, the $10 one, $10 18, all that's going on. So lots of good stuff out there as far as the contests are concerned. But Hoop, we got a few giveaways. So let me get started here, just get in and out of this. But I want to make sure we present it all. I know everyone wants the marketing out within 10 minutes or less. So we'll make sure we take care of you guys and get that done. One thing I will say, though, for this week, the marketing kind of sells itself because it's pretty easy to break down. First off, shout out to our guy B-Wald, the first giveaway of the day. Giveaways will be tonight. There'll be a couple live in the chat here right now, so stay tuned. But the first one is, all you got to do is go over on X at ToeTagginTambo, repost and like the tidbits. Right now, they're at around 104K views. It's going to be a free monthly giveaway for PGA from our guy B-Wald. Let people know what's going on with the brand, all that stuff. If it gets to 200K views, I'll throw in another free month as well. So just first off on that one, that's the first note there. Sorry, Hoop, I'm going around 2 different places. Second one,
keep it rolling.
Let's keep it moving. The easiest thing is to subscribe to the YouTube channel down below if you haven't already. Even if you're watching this on playback, you can get involved. But the real thing just dials into our own X at SHIPIT Nation. Go over there. We're almost at 5,000 followers, so go follow us over there. Tonight or early this afternoon, we're going to post out the giveaway for the annual membership that our guy Mark is giving away. If you scroll back down here, just last week we were talking about it, but Mark took down first and third, and then our guy, shout out to Pickett, does all our tennis stuff in the community run channel in our Discord, got second, said it sucked to not win, but then he found out first, third, so over 80,000 between these two members, and Mark, the winner, wanted to give away a 509 annual. So make sure you're subscribed. We're going to post out the giveaway like this later on the Discord so that you guys know what's going on with that, or sorry, not on the Discord, on our Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, where we put it out there, and there's a way to get in. It's going to be very easy to get into that draw. And then we did hit our 6,000 members while I was away, Hoop. So we got 6,000 subscribers now on YouTube. So we're going to go for 7,000 next, but 6,000, we are giving away a $299 PGA annual. Here's the contest live right now that we're going to do. And if you're not in, you could get in later in the comments. We're going to draw it tonight. But just a note, it's going to be one for a non-member, for someone that's been watching on YouTube, been watching all the free shows. Very simple. We want to hear in the chat right now, if you're a non-member, how many hours do you think you've watched of SHIPIT Nation content, the free content, and what sports and content are you most interested in getting access to? Again, how many hours you think you've watched of the free content on YouTube, because you're obviously subscribed to be in here and all this stuff. And then also what sports and content you're most interested in on SHIPITNation.com. Now, if you're watching this on playback, I know not everybody can catch this live, leave it in the comments. There is no comment section while we're recording live, but make sure you put that in the comments. We will draw that later this evening, get that out to you. I'll contact you on social media, let you know what's going on. If you're a member in the chat right now or later in the comments watching this on playback, let us know how many hours you've watched and what your favorite thing is, because you're already a member using all the great content over at SHIPITNation.com, and what that looks like for you. Hoop, what am I missing? That was a couple of the big giveaways, right?
I do like Greg's comment. 50 and golf. Just straight to the point. Like I respect that. First in, and then just straight to the point. I absolutely love that.
I do like that. First in. And Greg, yes, if you don't win the draw later on, hit me up, info@shipitnation.com. I'll get you a free week just for your diligence, man, just for getting out there and putting yourself out there right away. So, and Jason knows, it's a guess. It's a guess, but try and peg it. I'm actually curious what some people will say. Todd says about 4 hours a week and football. So let's see. Sean, 200 hours. Rio's NBA Showdown content is legendary. It is. Lots of
That's
people,
like a secret. That's a secret weapon. That's a secret weapon, because not many people, follow NBA Showdown stuff, and every single night Rio's in there grinding. So phenomenal work on his end. One
more, okay, because we got less than 2 minutes to get the marketing out of the way this week, and it sells itself. This is important. So on the screen behind me, you see the pricing. That's pretty standard stuff. 14 a week, 39 a month, $299 annual, but you can take them all down by 15%, not the weekly. It's a monthly or annual only. But just of note, Masters 15 ends tonight, because this promo was really for the players. It was you join for the players, stay for the Masters. That got you the classic slate. The deal got any better. The reason it's going away is because it's pretty straightforward. If you join for the Valspar tonight, right now, today, whenever you're watching this, you will get coverage right through to RBC Heritage, actually, the week after the Masters that you'll be covered for, but that will include the Masters and all the Masters Showdown content, which is important, obviously. After this, the codes will change a bit. You'll still be able to get 15% off, but just on the all access package only. So that would be another one. Go ahead, Hoop.
It's like we're playing the prices right. The first one in was 50. Bill comes in. He's like, hey, you know what? I watched 51 and I want golf and football. So this is good stuff. A couple other notes just to add on. We're going to be doing, haven't formally announced yet, but we're going to be doing some giveaways to people that have our logos on DraftKings and FanDuel and win some contests. So you might want to get over there and get those logos changed. And it looks nice too. Like, it looks nice. You don't need to be a member either. You do not need to be a member for this portion of it. Just get the SHIPIT Nation. Fly this flag. Be proud of it. Get these logos to the top. And we're going to have some giveaways in regards to people winning contests with our logo up top.
Yeah, this is worth it to go an extra minute off our marketing piece. I will talk about it because we'll give the numbers. Not afraid of it. Lots of people do it off free roll or giveaway thing, all this stuff. You guys know we love the giveaways here. So this is part of the community and giving back. The setup is quite simple. You get the logo. Doesn't matter if you're a member or non-member. The key is back to the original standpoint that I told you of X, Twitter, whatever, getting on there at SHIPIT Nation. Anybody that's flying the flag and has our logo up and tags us on Twitter with anything, got to be profit. Don't put me up your $3 turned into $4 because it's like that. I'm not shaming that. I'm saying it's like not just to get in the contest. We want to make it so like if you have something you're happy about or you're thrilled about, you can throw it up on there and just be proud to rock the logo. We're going to do a $250 draw every single month for somebody out of the people that tag us on Twitter at SHIPIT Nation and do that. We're also going to do an additional $250 for anybody that tags us with the win of $5,000 or more. It doesn't have to be a first place prize for that one. It's just anything $5,000 or more with the logo. We're going to do a separate, which will be likely a smaller draw. Less people are winning the big money, obviously, overall, when you put the grand scheme of things, where they'll be in the draw for up to $500, 2 draws of $250. We will put the notes on our page if you're looking for it. It's just shipitnation.com. Go to the 3 dots, click logos, and boom, you'll be there. You'll be good to go. And then the last one, Hoop, if you guys didn't know, not many other sites do this, but just a way that you can make some money. We want to tell you guys about this. If you go back here, where was I? To shipitnation.com and go to this drop down again and click affiliates, you can actually become an affiliate. So not only when you're posting those screenshots, excited about your stuff, you can let friends, family, other followers, if you're doing content out there and you want to make some money, hit us up for a sponsorship or something like that. But you can also do affiliates. Go here, register. You simply fill out this quick form and apply. You can actually make 20% on anything that you bring in for the company. So if you get someone to sign up for a monthly for $69, whatever the discount is, plus the commission, you'll get 20% and that money stays with you. So a lot of stuff that we went through there, Hoop, but I think we're ready to get into it. Anything else I missed before we get there?
No, I think you hit on, I made some notes here to make sure we hit on everything, and I think we got through it all. Did you mention the Monday First Look show?
We'll mention it on the Monday First Look show. That's fine. There's going to be more giveaways that go with the Monday First Look, but we'll go from there. Obviously, all that stuff. One quick note I forgot too is if anybody's looking for education courses that you get when you sign up, the MLB course came out last night. We'll post a tweet out on that later. Go collect. My guy got it right there. Thank you. Yeah, it's supposed to be an hour and a half. It ended up being almost 2 hours, and I was supposed to just be hosting, and we ended up throwing some extras in there. So that should be a good course as well if you're looking to get into MLB starting next week on the 28th. All right, let's dive in, Hoop. That's all the good stuff out of the way. Let's talk Valspar. And you mentioned it off the top. Mayo and I did the show earlier, kind of tried to weigh out some scenarios. I know not everybody can catch each show, but sounds like you've looked at the weather as well. And everyone that's talking about the weather is talking about Friday, of course, because if you pull up Friday and have a look at it, it looks insane. It looks heavy rain, all those things. If anybody's there that's local, let us know what you're seeing. But Hoop, what are you seeing with the weather? How are you going to be handling that?
Well, I think Thursday's pretty much a non-factor. I mean, it looks like it's going to be nice all throughout. And then Friday, it all kind of goes to shit with the winds kind of picking up throughout the day. And we're looking at, 15-mile-an-hour winds steady with gusts potentially into the 30s. And then it does seem like it picks up Friday afternoon a little bit. Now, the problem is there is rain involved here, and that throws a wrench kind of in everything when you go to plan. And if you're somebody that wants just a distinct advantage, like, okay, I got to go AM, PM or PM, AM, this rain thing throws a factor. And the one thing about the rain that concerns me even more, which is a legitimate concern, is how the PGA has just mismanaged these weather situations all year round in terms of maybe adjusting tee times. Like they've fucked this up all season long. I have no clue what's going to happen on Friday, to be honest with you. And it will definitely what they decide will impact who gets the advantage and who doesn't. So I think the best way to do it for sure, play both sides of it. Do some AM, PM stacks, do some PM, AM stacks. And go that route, because there is a scenario where one side does get a pretty significant advantage. Now, the one thing that's going to balance everything out is Thursday looks good all throughout, Thursday morning and afternoon. So 50% of the field or 50% of the golf time before the cut, it's going to be pretty fair both ways. Friday's the big day and how they handle it. Saturday's supposed to be just as bad in terms of the wind and the rain. So it's really hard to say this tee time, the early tee times on Thursday have the advantage or the afternoon. It's hard to say that. The one thing you can do, just go back to what you always talk about, playing these wave stacks and maybe one of these sides, gets the advantage. Very, very hard at this point to pinpoint which side gets the advantage, or if there is even an advantage, there might not be an advantage at the end of the day. So for me personally, I'm playing 20 teams this week, what I've been doing, playing it straight up.
Yeah. So Sean says this too, always comes through. Any sites give away as much. Yeah. Hospitality is what the H in SHIPIT stands for. And we're always trying to give back as much as possible as whatever we can. Andrew brings this up, Hoop, and I love this. It'll be in the slate plan later. I typically do this anyway, but because the weather is so set up in the sense of Friday, kind of whatever Friday dictates everything, because whatever happens on that, it's almost like who gets the early morning Saturday where they could end up getting screwed. It's going to be cold. It's going to be coming off that rain, wet, all that stuff. I just don't know how that's going to be a good scenario. So it is a perfect week to build in sets. Mayo and I talked through it earlier, but what the point was if you go AM, PM, it's like you're hoping for the best case scenario that the AM still goes pretty good on Thursday, and then that you get the best time on Friday or Saturday, whatever it gets pushed to. Now, the only thing about that is that the other thing about Thursday, as much as there's no wind throughout the day, it's a significant temperature increase. And we've seen how bad some of these rounds have gone early mornings out on these courses, where if you've got a setup of Thursday afternoon and you come out and it plays a stroke easier, and then they do end up getting it in the morning before this rain hits, or it just gets pushed off or whatever. So I actually like PM, AM better, but I'm not going to go away from running AM, PMs because of the sense that could actually happen. So Jason says, if doing enough lineups, would you make even smaller pods of tee times? Yeah, you could definitely look at that as well, but it like really late probably on Friday and really early, and hope it's just the best of both scenarios. Don't hate that. Think that's a good one. Nick says y'all have the same amount. No, I will say that I did bring this up as well earlier, but I do stick to my motto of if you play lighter, play tighter. And that's the setup of, meaning if I am going AM, PM, like someone talked about earlier, they're playing in the 18 max, the $10 18 max, and they want to run 9 and 9. And I'm okay with that, because that's just, you're committing to what you have with what you have. Not 9 and 9 is the 18 max. But what I'm saying is that you could go that way. I would still just run it on either side. You're going to have a bigger than usual 20 max pool for what many will suggest. But because you're running it within sets, you're probably still staying tighter within those sets. So I definitely think that's another way to look at it. Single entry is always the same answer for me. I think you go to Hoop Strategy. Again, it depends on what your bankroll, risk adverse, all that stuff is. But I think you just play who you want on that and just play it straight up, because that's your one lineup, your one money. Or you say, I'm going to commit to a side and take the stand that I think no matter what, late PM, early AM is going to be the spot. And you gravitate towards that and you just take your risk. That's the thing. I don't have a cutoff time for rules. That weather's going to change overnight even too. So, I mean, I'd be waking up early morning tomorrow. We'll be in the Discord early as always, hitting that stuff up if we have any of that. Hoop, anything else you want to add on the weather before we continue?
In terms of the cutoff, I mean, this is a tournament where it's a very distinct difference in tee times. I mean, there's the last morning tee time is like 9, almost like 10 Eastern, and then the afternoon tee time started like 12:45 Eastern. So there's a big gap in the times, and you can see them on the PGA.Tour website. We have them up on the solver as well. So if you're partnered, if you have us and have the solver, the tee times are right in there. But this is a tournament where it's a distinct separation in tee times.
I think, he's going a step further to what we talked about. He's saying it's 12:45 in the afternoon up to
it's going to be
3:05 or 3:02 or whatever. They're saying you want to have separation there, and that's.
I don't think you can parse through that. Yeah, that's going to be very difficult.
I will say too, I know Colin's been in here forever. Colin, just like earlier with Greg, if you don't win the giveaway tonight, hit me up at info@shipitnation.com with a screenshot of your YouTube. I'll get you a free week no matter what. Because you definitely have been here for those hours. I believe it, man, because I've been here for a lot of those hours, Hoop has, and we see you all the time out there. So I appreciate it, Colin, all your support. So hopefully this stuff is helpful. I mean, we'll get back into it. Shout out to Bring the Noise. Always appreciate you being in here with us as well. Let's go to these tiers then, Hoop. Anything else to talk about with this tournament that you care about from the stats perspective? I know you're not always big on stats, but just like course history, roster construction. You mentioned the 5K range, actually. So maybe talk a little bit about that as well and tying into roster construction in general, and then we'll get to these tiers.
Yeah, 5K range back in the mix, and the majority of this field is priced in the 5Ks, which I'm not thrilled with. Like if you have the 5K, I like the 5K being there. Yeah, Cutter Keep will be here as well. I have some options. But like the 5K range, I like the 5K being there, but I don't want like the whole, the entire field being 5K. So in terms of roster construction this week, we talked about on the first look show, like I don't know really what the reward is for going heavy in the 5K range this week. In previous weeks, it was very clear. You get more Scotty Scheffler, who's the best player in the world by a pretty wide margin at this point. This week, you just don't get the upside of that in the 5K range. So we'll talk about it when we get in there, but I just don't know if the reward is there this week. I have some of the guys in my pool. There's no doubt about it. But it's going to be small in terms of overall ownership in the 5K range for me this week.
I'm going to have a lower number of players in the 5K range this week. If anyone catches that, we'll see. But I'm not going to go there much. I will say this. I talked with Mayo. I talked with others about this too. But Hoop, 116 guys. I think you mentioned it. Maybe when we did the first look on Monday, like it's just they're getting a little lazy with it.
Yeah, it's not the right way to do it. It's just not the right way to do it.
In the 7K range, and you can still get away with lineups that don't even need to touch the 6s, let alone the 5s. It really, from that perspective, it's a bit annoying. But the other good part is, if you are willing to get it after some of these guys in this 5 and 6K range, you will be unique because people just don't need to go down there very often. So
it's lazy though. Like you said, it's like they're just taking anyone that's, 200 to 1 or worse in this tournament saying, all right, you're priced between 5,900 and 5,000 in our pricing spectrum, which I don't like that.
Yeah, it gave them a little bit of an out, right? That's why I don't like. It's like, let's just pile everybody in there now. And it's, I would rather them extend it a little bit, but who cares? It's whatever. And again, they didn't make Xander 12-5 or Burns 12. Like it should have been like 12 and 11 or 12 and 11-5 and then drop it from there. But I don't know. Either way, it's fine. There's plenty to use up top. With that said, let's get into the guys up top. And we've got, what do you want to do? Jordan Spieth up. Just talk about those 4 to start. Jordan Spieth up to Xander. Let's go.
Yeah, I think it's a conversation to have, like just all those guys 10K and above, and there's only 4 of them this week. And, if you're going to have the 5K range, I think you just need more guys in the 10K range because you're looking at the ownership on some of these guys up here. And I can't pull it up right now, but it's looking to be massive. Like, Xander, Sam Burns, it's just easy to play them. Xander at 11-2 coming off the second place finish. Last week, disappointing finish, I'd say, where Scotty tracked him down. He just can't, find a way to get the win. Does that affect him this week? I don't think so. Does it affect how I view him for my lineups? No, he's like 6.5 to 1 to win this event. He's, probably the best golfer in this field. I have no problem going to him. I mean, it's a scenario this week, a situation where he could finish even as low as like 10th and still be the guy you need. There's a lot of volatility in this upper range. And, Justin Thomas has been good, but a lot of missed cuts. Sam Burns, yes, he's been good at this course, but these aren't like typical high end, 10.8K, 10.9K type golfers. So, Xander could have like a 10th place finish and still be the guy that you need up here. So, definitely like him. Sam Burns has all the course history. He's won here. 10-9, big boy price tag. He's been playing well. I've been on it. It's just been a couple bad rounds, and it's been the round 4 of the last 2 weeks. It's Arnold Palmer shot the 78, and then last week at the Players shot a 76 in round 4 to take him out of contention. But prior to that, he was in these tournaments. So that's like what 4. So T6, 10th. 3rd, 10th, and then the 30th and 45th, which in my eyes could have been much better if he didn't shit the bed round 4. So I'm fine sticking with him at the 10-9. Justin Thomas missed the cut last week, but when he makes the cut, he's been in contention 3rd, 6th, 12th. I think the course sets up well for him. I like him at the 10-4. Maybe the missed cut kind of scares some people off. And then the guy that I'll just be off is Jordan Spieth. His game's just been pretty erratic, not much consistency. 10-2 for Jordan Spieth is just too much. And if Spieth is the guy that beats me this week, that's fine. We'll fire him back up, fire up, some more lineups next week and see if we can get there. But I won't be on Spieth. The other 3, I think, are solid plays. I'm hoping JT goes a little overlooked because of that miscut. Probably not, because it's easy to get to him. But I like those 3, and there is no keeper cut in this range because to me it's very cut and dry in terms of what I'm doing, and I don't want to waste time with you or the listeners here.
Cut and dry. See what he did there, folks? He's catching on. You watch the MLB course too. He had a nice one in there, overblown. The wind and something gets overblown. He said, shout out to Jason, guy Bader Bear. He says he's breaking it right down, putting the math on us. 10 months equals 43 weeks. They get 200 hours plus, including the awesome free education courses. Love those the most. So shout out to Jason. But he did note 10 months. Yeah, we're 2 months away now from our 1-year anniversary. It's going to be our first year doing MLB. for a full season. So just lots of good stuff going on here and more giveaways and phase 3 and phase 4 of our rollout still to come. So we're working on some more things behind the scenes that we're pretty excited about. I think you guys are going to be pretty excited about as well. Excited for that. Once we get to more news, we will let you guys know. Eugene says, don't like Burns AM PM. He doesn't play well Thursday, Friday generally anyways. One note, though, someone did bring this up, Hoop, is if it's going to play a little bit harder, and then I'll go into my stuff and move on. But the years that Burns won, the course was playing a little bit easier for this course. I mean, this course always plays tough, but I did think that was kind of interesting. I think Xander is priced wrong. Like, again, doesn't matter. I don't care about him choking. If he wants to come second here again, I'll be fine with that. Thank you, Xander. Get me a second place. 11-2 does not need to win if there's all those guys around him. What if JT Spieth missed the cut again and Burns just doesn't crush like he usually does? Like, there you go. Then it could be a 15th place and he could be used because of the guys that go in. It's just one of the worst things that get talked about in PGA DFS. That's just not true. He does not need to win. And the point that Andrew brought up earlier, Scotty was 12K last week at 6-1 in a strong field. Xander is 11-2 at 6-1 in a weak field. Like, it doesn't even make any sense how they're pricing it. So if Burns and Xander were the same ownership, I don't care about the course history. I would still just play Xander and just expect him to beat this field more times than not over a long-term period, which I know it's 1 week, it's one event, but I do got to think about it that way. And that's where you'll sort of find your way through some of these tournaments and find different plays. The other thing, one thing I will say, you shit on Spieth, and I get it, but former winner, pretty decent here. Game's off, but so is some of the other guys. And you don't have to play these guys up here, but Spieth does have a PMT time, and I like those PMAMs anyway. So I'm trying to get him to struggle through, find his way around. And also, if everybody's going to be scrambling, let's say that wind does pick up over the weekend. All I need from Spieth is the made cut to feel good about it, because if he gets that and the weekend looks tougher and windy and struggling and all that stuff, scrambling and all that stuff, then he's the perfect guy for that. Because if everybody's going to be, it's almost like when the greens are easy and they say, or the greens are hard, and they say, if everyone's going to struggle putting, then I'm okay playing some of these weaker putters. Well, if everyone's going to struggle with hitting greens over the weekend, and maybe even Friday, Saturday could be round 2, etc., then I'm going to be fine with Spieth for that reason. So plus Justin Thomas hates kids, including your own. So I can't play him. And then Burns is just going to be very, very owned for this spot, which is whatever. Yeah. That's fine. Cash game play. You could play him tournaments. You can get different with them. I just prefer Xander. And then I'm going to take Spieth over JT majority. I'm not playing any of these guys. I'm just saying that's my 2 that I want to talk about up top. Let's move into this 9K range, Hoop. It's a little smaller as well with the way they did things this week. Only 6 guys. Harmon down to Minwoo. What do you got?
Yeah, it's like they refuse to price anyone the same. Like, no one can have the same price tag except like a couple guys, which I don't know. The whole thing's kind of annoying. Harmon up top, 9,800, playing well, played well last week. The course sets up, good for his game. Solid option there. Cam Young is a guy that definitely stands out to me at 96. Like, if he's game is at the top, if it's at the peak, like, he could be much more expensive. He could be in that 10K range with those guys. He's been playing well. He just is putting like shit. And I'm not saying that the putting is going to turn around this week, but he's hitting the irons very, very well right now. I like Cam Young a lot at 9,600. He could just be a lot more expensive in this field. Sung Jae, like, man, whatever. You can have him if you want to play him. I am not going to Sung Jae. I'm off that situation. Tony Finau, I think is interesting. It's the same thing, man. The dude can't putt, and like him not putting is even more frustrating because it just looks awful. And he's got the thing all cockeyed, and it just looks terrible with Finau. But he had a lot of close iron shots last week. 45th is not great. He's making the cuts. Like, I can be on Tony Finau. We touched on Nick Taylor on the first look show, and he's a name that looks out of place here at first glance. You look at him, 9,100, like, oh my god, I don't want to pay 9,100 for Nick Taylor. But man, like, out of all these guys in the 9K range, excluding like Brian Harmon, he's been playing the best golf, and he has wins. Like, he can win as well. And I think the course sets up solidly for him. So I'm in on Nick Taylor. And then the keeper cut option is going to be the last guy in this range at 9K, Minwoo Lee, who just kind of, it's hard to peg him. Like, what courses he's going to play good at, which week. It seems like it's boom or bust, which is probably good for like GPP. So he's going to be the cut or keep option in this range. Really struggling to decide on him.
Yeah, let us know on Minwoo Lee in the chat. Cut or keep. help Hoop build his player pool. Alex asked about, shout out to my guy, Alex Hahn. He says, if I do the $1 a day deal, does that come with the Discord as well? It is. If you right now, Masters 15 ends today, it gets you 15% off the monthly, which drops it down to like $32 or $33, basically $1 a day. But that's going to get you the Valspar this week and all the showdown stuff. And then the same for Houston Open, Valero Texas Open, the Masters. And it would actually include right through the classic content for RBC Heritage. So you would get everything there that goes with. That code ends today, Masters, plural, 15, MASTERS 15. You put it on the monthly PGA and it'll drop it down. And that price will stay locked in as long as you keep it. So if you want to have it set up there, speaking of keep it, nobody wants to keep it. Here, this is cut, keep.
Yeah.
Keep. Speaking of Alex, he did say keep, though.
Yeah,
but nobody else. Sean said key. There's a couple in there, but I mean, we don't even got to put the vote up for that one. That's a clear.
Well, you do have a couple votes. You could make it a little closer.
I'm going to be keeping. So
okay.
No surprise, opposite of what everybody else is doing. It's not just to go opposite. I think somebody said it earlier, like talent-wise, this range and even the 8K range is, you could argue it all day. Like it's just some of these guys are the same dude. For example, the Nick Taylor one, guy gets shit on all week long. I already gave the JT stuff. Not going to go into it again. He's basically been better than JT at all the same events this year. He was better than him last year, actually picking up some wins. Career-wise, JT way better so far. But I'm saying like that's the whole point, and it is what it is. But Cam Young hasn't even won yet. We prop this guy up every single week. I like him this week too. But $500 less gets you a guy with 4 wins and 2 of them in the last year and a half or whatever. Like this guy, Nick Taylor, is playing good golf. If it does turn into grinding it out, he can do that. He can make some of these big putts. The guy's going to be on the President's Cup team, like all the stuff that he's got going in his favor. So I definitely am in on him. I do like your Harmon call. Harmon's interesting because they call him the Little Big Game Hunter. That was the nickname besides the actual nickname that people were talking about at the Open. I think it was Cockbite or something like that, which is pretty interesting. But the thing is, it's weird, man. If you go to look, he plays so good in the strongest fields. But when he's one of the better players, like if you're beating the strongest players in the strongest fields, Adam Scott is an example of this. Back at least a year ago and beyond, Adam Scott would play only the toughest, hardest events. He would go into them and finish 30th, and people would say he sucks when he's at like the Wyndham Championship and he's one of the best guys. He would be almost in a playoff there or crushing that because he would beat up on weaker fields, which, by the way, it's an interesting note for Tony Finau, who's also in this range. Isn't that what we always say about Tony? He shows up to the events with the weaker fields and just pounds on them. That's kind of what you could see a guy here like him do. So for Brian Harmon, he should do that. He just hasn't done it. And my guy Go Collect knows Jason Tatum in NBA, he really likes when he's going against the best, he steps up. When he doesn't have to try and prove that he's the best guy in the league, he steps down and lets Jaylen Brown and some of those other guys step up. So I do think it's kind of interesting to say it that way. But for me, Harmon, Nick Taylor, Minwoo, and then I'm not going off Sung Jae, so you can't talk me in or out of that one. I don't need to put that one up. I'm sticking with him here.
Shocker.
Yeah,
Shocker.
Whatever. We keep playing this guy. He did, I think I told you on the first look, he just did the worst thing possible. He came like 18th and like didn't give you any insight on where he's kind of at. And then he comes 30th or whatever. You're like, it's not really good enough. It's not really bad, but then this field is weak. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's talk about this 8K range. Let's go Keith Mitchell down to Patrick Rogers. Get a few extra guys here. It looks like we got 10 guys, but Minwoo was the cut for you. I will say that.
Yeah, the chat said cut, but you had a pretty strong argument to keep. We have 2 guys. All right, we didn't have one in the 10. There's 2 options in the 8K range. So have your be ready to pump both those out. We'll do one at a time. Keith Mitchell up top. I've been playing Keith. Just completely fell apart over the weekend at the Players. He made the cut, had been playing really well, and then goes 76, round 3. In round 4, I'll give him the pass and come back to him. Seabass been very consistent, and you kind of like him at these more difficult tracks. The only issue with him is you just don't really see the top end finishes. I guess he did have the second at the American Express, but and 13th last week. So maybe we're starting to see a turn in his game a little bit. And I think this track could set up well for him. The $8,800 price tag you don't love, but he's been playing solid golf. And I think he will make a cut this week. And, it's just a matter if he can move up a little bit from like 25th, 20th place and really get into contention. Eric Cole, I'm going to give him a pass as well. He's had some missed cuts recently, 2 out of the last 3. But again, I think this course can set up well for him. Keegan Bradley, I think interesting for tournaments. He's a bigger name in this 8K range. There's a lot of guys that are typically much, much cheaper than the 8K range. Keegan tends to be around here. And, I don't think he's going to get a ton of ownership. Doug Gim, though, is a very interesting talking point because the guy is just on an absolute heater, T16 or better in 5 straight tournaments. Had that 16th last week at the Players, only 8,400. Another guy you can throw in the same category as Gim is going to be McNeely. I've been playing McNeely basically all season long, and the results have been amazing. 37th, 39th, 6th, 13th, 41st, and then 9th last week at the Players. Really like Mav McNeely at 81. Patrick Rogers at 8K is definitely a cut for me. I'm a little bit bitter from last week. I had a really good Scotty Scheffler, Harmon, Ludwig, Ludwig team, and it had Patrick Rogers as the only missed cut. So I'll be off on him for a while. But the first keeper cut in this range is going to be Bo Hostler, and then the second is going to be Adam Hadwin. The only reason I'm considering these guys is because I just think there's a pretty drastic fall off when you get into the 7K range, which we'll talk about. But Hostler and Hadwin are two guys I'm kind of on the fence on, and I don't know how much room I'll have in my player pool or on my teams, but they're right around the average roster spot, and kind of boom or bust performances recently. So kind of torn on those two.
Do the Hostler one first, guys. Hostler, I was just messing around because you were talking about Doug Gim, and Doug Gim's obviously on a heater right now. Whether it continues or not, we'll have to find out. He's always played pretty good at the Players, so I thought that was a possibility either way. But some of the guys here that pop for me, like this is the thing about the setup. If it turns into like the grinder zone, like that's where somebody talked about earlier, where you can pick it up a little bit. Is if you have like Keegan Bradley, Seabez, Adam Hadwin, I think all these guys can grind, and some in the 7Ks as well. So I'm probably keeping both when the votes come out for you, but I definitely like Hadwin more than Hostler. It's pretty close. I just prefer Hadwin over Hostler if I'm picking one. They're both of note. They're both PM guys, and they're both pretty close for me. So the answer sometimes when you're doing that can be play both. But I definitely think it's interesting from that perspective. Rye over Gim is probably how I would side as well. Just a note there for those wondering, but you can definitely put them into some lineups. Mayo and I were doing lineups today, and we pretty much avoided them completely in those ones. So I'll have them some, but not enough to talk about here. I do like those grinders though. Like if you put in a Seabez, Keegan Bradley, Adam Hadwin, Rye, those types of guys could really come through here. And I'll talk more on roster construction in the slate plan over at SHIPIT Nation, of course, but just want to make sure we go through that there. Let's see these numbers. A lot of scissor emojis coming out here. So by the way,
the scissors. I like the introduction of the scissors.
Did I tell you about JT talking shit last week? Because I know you already never really loved it. I know you like him this week, but he was talking shit about the Gooch asterisk thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The live account put the scissor emoji on him, said, okay, buddy, you don't got nothing to put an asterisk on. You didn't even make the cut. So I thought that was pretty funny as well.
That is good.
All right. Good. What do you see? What do you see here?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a cut for Hostler, and then the Hadwin will go.
Hadwin will just start a new one on while we go to the 7K range. You guys can start letting us know. Let's take off with this 7K range here. Hoop only 15 guys, like I said, but you can break it up however you want. I mean, there's 15 guys. You talk through it. What do you like in here?
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's a pretty significant drop-off coming from the 8s down to the 7s. Sepp Straka, I don't know. Like Taylor Moore continues to make cuts. And, at this event, like you're going to want guys that make cuts. Well, you want guys that make cuts every week, but this is a difficult course, and making a cut and getting that 6 of 6 is very important this week because when there's water and danger on the course, the volatility definitely goes up and makes the 6 of 6s a little more difficult. Andrew Putnam, a couple solid finishes. Have the 8th at the Arnold Palmer. Didn't have a great finish at the Players, but 53rd. He made the cut. He was super, super cheap last week. I don't know exactly. Can't remember what the price tag was, but he was way down.
3 or 6,200 or something.
Yeah, he's way down there. Taylor Montgomery, I think, another guy that continues to make cuts, grinds them out, a good putter. Which can go a long way at more difficult courses. I think he's interesting. I never play Billy Horschel, so like if he's always a cut for me, regardless of the situation. I think Brendan Todd is interesting. Lucas Glover at 73 missed the cut last week, but prior to that had 3 straight like T30 finishes. He had one bad round. He shot a 75 round one at the Players. Did follow it up with the 69. Obviously, not enough, but I think he could bounce back at this course. But I'm really interested in like this lower 7K range. Like I'm going to take a chance on Daniel Berger. I know, he's got the injury thing, isn't fully back, but 7,200 for Daniel Berger. Like he's going to get back at some point. Like, and I'll take my chances. Adam Schenk, I always like him, 71. Batia at 71, I think is a fine option. Cheap price tag. Davis Thompson I've been playing a lot of. And then my guy Rio at 7K flat. So I'm way more interested in the lower sevens. But the keeper cut option in this 7K range is going to be Sepp Straka. Not too sure what to do with him. 16th last week. I don't know. He's a guy I'm just kind of torn on.
There, we solved that one. I already voted. Keep that guy. I mean, this is especially the thing is turns into a grind. Like, man, this is. I don't see a scenario where we don't keep him, but let people comment on it. Sepp Straka, keeper cut, but I'm definitely keeping him in. I think he's in a good spot here. I think it also changes up a little bit. Like some of these guys, Taylor Montgomery, if it gets tougher and he just comes out and making putts, and who does that? I think it could be him. Brendan Todd, he can grind it out there. Like, again, people are liking Horschel. I don't mind him, but I think also Brendan Todd makes a lot of sense there as well. He's kind of right between Horschel, Glover, Ryder. A lot of people are going there. Berger, you're playing for upside, right? Like you're just taking a shot on him at 7,200 saying hopefully he is back. It doesn't look like he has been. It was one event of the 3 or 4, but man, yeah. And Andrew knows like a lot of these guys, this is the thing
a lot of support for Straka, a lot of support.
He's getting steam for sure. You can land on a Mayo and I did the lineups earlier. So you definitely have to keep that in mind when you're building, but so are Gim and Rye up above. So you can skip this whole range of 7,600 up to 85 and get different that way and use like Keegan Bradley or something up there and drop down. But my point would be in this range, you got to know because the guys that stand out on paper are definitely getting the ownership because you said it, like Schenk is going to stand out. Lucas Glover is going to stand out. Sepp Straka is going to stand out. All these guys are going to look good in projections on paper, all of those things. So that's why sometimes building in the sets can be different. Like again, not many, if more people are going PM AM, Sepp Straka's in the AM. That would cut into his ownership a little bit. If you go down to Glover, he's in the PM. Schenk, another guy in the AM. So sometimes when it happens like that, you could definitely set it up. But I think like Pam says here, he's built for this course. That's what everybody thinks. And I tend to agree. That's why I teased it earlier that I'm just going to say, keep him in. But I definitely think it's interesting just to note that like how quickly everybody was on it, myself included. It makes sense. The price seems low for what you're getting. So something to note there. I still think Putnam, Todd, Glover, Schenk, a few of these guys are interesting, but there is something to be said for just, running a balanced build and skipping over the Straka, Gim, Rye range as well. Yeah. I think that's another interesting way to go about it. Who was we just did it with Straka. We're not going to keep going there. Take us through the 6K range then, Hoop, because we're going to talk more in here than the 5K. We'll get to that later, but what are you doing with the 6K range? First thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of golf. I mean, 6,900 and below is probably like 80% of this field is priced like way down here. Victor Perez has had a couple solid finishes as of late, 16th at the Cognizant and then 3rd in Puerto Rico, which obviously a very, we don't even need to ask that question. We know the answer there. Mr. Stanger, 6,900. I mean, what a
could
run.
Easily be a 7K golfer.
Just think back. Just think back to the day when Hoop said that Mr. Stanger was the most disrespected, had the most disrespectful price in the field. Tambo made fun of me, basically kicked me off the stage here, and then T38, T35, T3 at Puerto Rico, and then T35 at the Players. Mr. Stanger is the real deal. Be a big part of what I'm doing this week, and that's not even – there's no joke about that. I'll be all over Stanger. Joel Damon. yeah. There's like, I have the ultimate like presidential veto power when it comes to anything to do with Mr. Stanger. We're on him. We're going heavy on him. Damon, the guy I typically don't love to play, but back-to-back decent finishes. 49th at Puerto Rico is not great, but the 11th at the Players, I don't mind a little bit of Damon. Chesson Hadley, we talked about in the first look show. I don't like him in strong fields. I like him in weaker fields, and this is a weaker field event, and you don't have to be long. So courses where you don't have to be long and there's a weak field, I'm in on Hadley. and we fit that criteria this week. 67 for Hadley. Novak, very popular last week, did not have a good result, but prior to that, 3 straight top 10s. We'll give him another chance. Mr. Svensson at 66, definitely going to be there. Mr. Neesmith at 6,500, I think he's a fine option. Bud Cauley, somewhat interesting at 64. The long layoff came back, made the cut at the Phoenix Open, and then 21st at the Cognizant. I don't mind taking a chance on him at 64. And then you get down into the lower 6K range, and it gets pretty dusty in a hurry. One guy, I don't know anything about him, and you might know more. Hayden Springer at 6,100. He's made, 3 cuts in a row, 33rd at the Farmers, 38th in Mexico, and then he was part of that T3 group in Puerto Rico, but 6,100 for him. And then Schmid at 6K flat. Was solid last week. Can he do it again this week? And he was 10th at the Puerto Rico. So 2 straight solid weeks for Schmid. Kind of where I'm at. But curious on Springer. What's his deal?
Yeah, that's the thing. They've been setting up courses a lot easier this year. There's no question. But this ain't Puerto Rico. I can promise you that. It's like a top 10 hardest course. This is a very hard course. So I would just wipe out anything from there and just not care. So that's nice. But that field was like a Corn Ferry Tour field at a resort, very easy course. And that's where you're getting these names pop up. It's an added bonus if they had a good result out there. But realistically, we'll be looking for a little bit more from my guys down here. So, and in some of the stronger fields, or at least a little bit more improved fields, there's guys down in the same range. You can play Novak or Kevin Yu, or who's somebody else out here. I just saw Taylor Pendrith, Adam Svensson, Lee Hodges. There's some guys that have shown up in fields like this and won. Then there's guys like Matthew Neesmith, who we've seen show up in the past. And then now he's got good history here. 26 last week. KH Lee, he's had some good results in the top 30 and a 4th a couple events ago, and then has a 19th here last year. There's actual guys. Matt Wallace is one that Mayo talked me into. I made fun of him and then said, okay, I agree. But Matt Wallace is 6,400? Yeah, 6,400.
I did want to circle back on Lee Hodges. Sorry to cut you off, but Lee Hodges, I'm interested in Lee Hodges for sure. Yeah,
I think he's fine. Hadley, who you brought up even. So, if anybody can notice here, I didn't have as much because there's nowhere to really go. 7K range is 15 guys. 8K range is small. 9K range is minuscule. Top is just 4 guys. So, I'm going to play more of these 6K guys. And I did the whole show with Mayo already. That's kind of the benefit of the way we do these shows now. We got to see the builds. There was a literal argument to be made to just cut off 6,900 and below, and you could make phenomenal lineups projections wise. We even split it by wave. So if you're like, oh, but I was going AM, PM, you just did not need to go down there. So if you're willing to put 2 or 3 of these guys in, especially these ones up top, whether it's your guy Stanger or Damon or Dietrich, who used to be 10,000 just a few weeks ago in a field like this, Mackenzie Hughes, Webb Simpson, Hadley, not naming them all or playing them all, but I'm saying if those guys are all your 7K guys, being that they cut the range down to just 15, then why would you not put 2 or 3 of them into a lineup together? And you don't just have to automatically hop up to Xander at that point. You can, but I'm saying there's lineup construction to be looked at tonight. And I think that's my biggest take here. Someone said you got to go back to Svensson. Which Canadian boys did you like in this field? So there's Taylor, there's Hadwin, there's Svensson, Silverman. There's a bunch of them there, but was there any Canadians that stood out?
Definitely like Taylor's. I'm always on Svensson. There's someone I clicked on earlier that I didn't know was Canadian. I clicked on his name and I was like, maybe it's Silverman. Silverman. Yeah, I didn't know that he was a Canadian fella, but I don't mind him.
And he's a guy that, again, Puerto Rico, 16 or 42nd, but actually the other events that he's played, 13th, 16th, 18th, 3 of his last 4 before that. So it's he's actually shown up in similar fields to this versus, just showing up in one Puerto Rico event, for example.
Yeah.
Anybody else in this range you want to talk about? The bottom range of Higo or Wallace, who I mentioned, Carson Young, Bryce Garnett, JJ Spawn, Woo, any of those guys down there that you like?
Higo, I can't. I've been playing a lot of Higo. He had the WD last week. I'm just off of him. Yeah, I think I rattled off most of the guys that I have interest in, but man, I really don't want to be down here all that often. I mean, some of these guys I want to play, but I'm not saying I'm going like full balance builds, but man, I think there's just a big drop off when you get down here. I'm going to play some of these guys, no doubt about it, but if I can avoid it in like, if you're hand building or something, you can avoid this range. Like I'd definitely recommend doing it. There are guys down here in play. Don't get it twisted. And there's guys that I'm definitely going to play, but I don't love it. And then when we get to the 5K range, it's even worse.
Yeah. Well, let's do that then. Let's go to this 5K range. And I got two guys. And there's no bias here, but it's the lower range of the tournament. Justin Lower is down here at 5,700, so I can play him. And then another guy, great first name, Tyler Duncan, 5,800. Fine with him. After that, man, we had some Zach Blair, I guess, went in there, but that was the two I wanted to talk about. Will a couple others slip through the cracks? Maybe the lineups I built with Mayo today, like Zach Blair was in on some of those. I know we talked about him some. Troy Merritt is down here, but I don't know. Like I really don't love the Aaron Wise is 5,900, but man, haven't seen him for a while. So what's the situation with you down here? Some people wanted to get talked into some guys, but I just have a real hard time getting down in this range.
Yeah, it's not enjoyable down here. I have like 5 names of guys that I am considering playing. Now, I haven't built any teams yet, and I could end up playing 0 down here. It's very likely that I end up playing 0 of these guys. And the 5 that I see as potentially playable, this Ricky Castillo guy coming off the Korn Ferry Tour, he's had a lot of success there. But this is a big step up in course difficulty for sure. But he's 5,900. Troy Merritt, that's just more of I kind of always play Troy Merritt thing. And, it's not a comfortable feeling. Nico Echeverria has been playing pretty well, 5,700. Peter Malnati at 56. And then I did have Zach Blair as one of the guys at 56. But again, if I can avoid this range, like I'm going to do it. I haven't built any teams yet, but it is not a comfortable feeling. The previous weeks with the 5K range, you're able to get legitimate guys down there. I felt this week it's a massive risk, and I just don't know what the reward is up top by playing some of these guys. So I want to avoid it as much as possible.
Yeah, let me just talk real quick on that because I don't have anything else to say in this range. But the Ricky Castillo thing is a great example to talk about here because there's 2 ways to talk about it. One is, obviously, you talked about the range of what he's been doing on the Korn Ferry Tour or whatever, and all the great results that people are seeing, like 5th, 13th, 7th, 5th, 20th, been crushing it. Oh, he's coming out first try. If he makes the cut, I'm good. Remember, you're not. Like it's not all you need. He's $5,900. That's very helpful if he makes the cut. Now, people say, I would say like bet him top 40. And then people say, but I can't get the payoff of winning a large field GPP. Well, when you have him in your 1 or 2 lineups, you still have a 6-game parlay, essentially, that you're building, where there's 1 leg. You need 5 more legs to be the nuts, basically. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with that argument of you saying, but I'm not going to get the payoff of it, and that's fine. You could put $180 on a top 40 at like whatever it is. Somebody look it up. It's got to be good, though. I don't know what his top 40 is right now, but I'm just saying that's not just a made cut. That's a little bit more, but it's kind of what you'd be hoping for. 5,900, you're fine. But secondly, the other way is then say, okay, play the $10 18 max and stop talking. Be about it. Put him in all 18 and get every combo you can with him because you think it's his week, then find out. Don't one line. If you're doing 1 lineup with them, then it's probably 1 lineup with your 5 favorite plays. How often do those lineups work? I know anybody out there watching, a lot of members over at SHIPIT Nation, we don't just talk about plays and picks and all that stuff. We're breaking down actual thoughts and process in the Discord all the time. It comes down to the same thing. My worst lineup that I thought was going to suck ended up crushing. My best lineup was a 2 of 6 or a 3 of 6. It's just because it doesn't always go the way you think it's going to go. So even when you do it that way, it feels good in your mind, but it doesn't mean it's going to work out. So I would just say more times than not, it's not going to. And I think you get a much bigger payout just doing it that way instead.
Yeah, and one other thing I'd like to see, which I don't even know what the possibility of this is, but like, why are there so many guys in these PGA Tour events? Like, why do you need 144? Like, it just waters down the overall product. I mean, this isn't a conversation about like DFS or anything, but the fact that this many guys, essentially based on the odds, we're looking at like, I don't know, 80, 70% of the field that DraftKings is saying they have no chance of winning the event because they're priced just all the way down at the bottom, and that's correlated directly to the odds. Like, these fields are just so watered down. Like on these non-elite, or what do they call them, premium signature events, like cut down the number of guys. There's too many shitty dudes in the field each week.
But everybody says the opposite. That's funny you have that take, because everyone said after these signature events where it's like 100 guys or 80 guys down to 80 guys with 50 plus ties and anyone within 10 makes the cut, everyone says that's not enough.
Just
the other side of it is, though, like you said, is that, that's the storyline, right, Hoop? Is that what if a guy comes out of the
none of these guys, there's never any consistency from these dudes. It's not like they have good finishes and then they get to the top. These guys just aren't good, and they're in the field every week. Like, just there should not be more than like 80 guys in a PGA Tour event ever, in my opinion.
So guys like Stanger that just always come 35th and 38th, just come.
Well, Stanger should be part of the 80 for sure.
Yeah, of course. And he does well. The Puerto Rico Open, he crushes. So yeah, you got to keep a guy like him in there. But I do love.
There's just too many dudes, man. There's just too many guys in these golf events, in my opinion.
Well, it does show too when you're talking. Again, we talk strategy a lot, but just like your player pool composition, which was part of the course over at ShipItNation.com. If you check that out, that's kind of the angle too, right? Where you set it up and you could say, for you, it's very easy to make your player pool and set it up that way, because you know exactly what you're going to do for a smaller pool. You're just starting with nobody, cutting a bunch of guys off. And if you guys do join, you go to Education PGA, you get the full access to this course where we break this all down. Hoop and I did it. It's 2 hours long, but we have a whole segment in the process around all the stuff: goals, mindset, creating your own process, bankroll management, contest selection. So if you like strategy talk, player pool was a main part of that. And Hoop, you just made it easy on yourself, right? That's kind of the key. So many people, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's like, well, all right, I need a sprinkle of this guy, I need a sprinkle of that guy. And it's like, or you could just cut all those guys out, build a pool of dudes you think can actually be in the mix over the weekend. And when it goes your way, you're going to have a higher 6-6 percentage, or a week that it's low 6-6, you're going to have more 5-6s with upside and cash a bunch and have some outs to get to the top with your other 6-6s. So lots of different ways that you could talk about it when it comes to that.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, no doubt.
All right. So guys, we'll recap the giveaways quicker at the end. Remember, first big note, last chance to use Masters 15. It's plural, MASTERS 15. I saw Alex said he hopped in and got in the mix with us and joined back in. $33, about $1 a day. It'll get you through till RBC Heritage. Get everything that we offer and more. That's just for PGA. If you want the all access, the code does still work. You can take the monthly down to about $58 for all access, and that's about $2 a day. For the contest, if you're watching, we got the comments we've seen. We've got the chat comments, the other ones. We're going to give away a $2.99 annual membership to somebody that's a non-member that lets us know the hours you've watched of the free content and the sports and content that you're most excited for. We're going to give away, what do we say, Hoop? A hat, a shirt, and a free month to somebody that's a member. So they'll just stack an extra month on and send you a hat and shirt of your choice for a member that lists it. Again, if you're watching this on playback, just put it down in the comments. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And then make sure, lastly, go to my Twitter at ToeTagginTambo and retweet the tidbits. That's for a chance at a free month from our guy B-Wald. And then go to ShipIt Nation Twitter and make sure to follow. And then stay tuned later. There's going to be a giveaway. It will look something like this with the red alarms that says what you need to do. It's very easy to get into the draw, where our guy Mark, who won $60K plus on 4 entries last week in round 2, is going to give away a $509 annual membership. So he's giving away the biggest membership, which also will go up to $699 soon. That was the last straw for the one that was going to go up as far as pricing was concerned. But for $509 right now, it gets you all 8 sports over the year: projections, ownership, tools, rankings, core reports, player pools, slate plans, all of right now the 4, soon to be 5 education courses, the Discord community, and then there's more things to come. Like I said, phase 3 and phase 4 are coming up next. Anything else from you, Hoop? Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, looking forward to this week. I mean, again, keep this momentum going. We had the big wins in Showdown last week. A lot of people hit on the main slate. And I mean, the goal is always to get those logos to the top of the leaderboard. If you don't have the logo up, get on over there, get the logo for DraftKings, FanDuel, get it uploaded, whatever site you're on. And you'll be eligible to win some prizes, obviously. So let's get those logos to the top of the leaderboard this week.
Yeah, definitely a good thing. Go to get the logo, tag us on Twitter, X with that logo at SHIPIT Nation. Let us know what you score, what you hit, what you win, anything good you've got to say about us. We'll get you up there. Go in the draw. If you do that, it's a $250 monthly giveaway for people that tag us in that. Anybody that scores 5,000 or more, doesn't have to be first place, is going to go in the draw for an additional $250 each month. So if only one person wins $5,000 or more and tags us, free $250. You automatically win the draw because you're the only name in the draw. But definitely appreciate everybody watching. I think Andrew asked earlier, I will comment on this quick just at the end. James did do a stream last week. We're still waiting for an update from James, a little bit more news, all still thinking about him. Talked about that. It was awesome to see him back. I know I was away, but still got to watch him do that. He did a chat extra over at our site in the Discord. So shout out to James. We're all thinking about you, man, hoping that you can get back here sooner than later. But he did mention that he won't be doing another stream until the Masters. So keep that in mind. We'll cover you guys as much as we can over these slates throughout the next few weeks. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate you guys as always. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it.